So as you could probably already tell by the title and the thumbnail of this video, I'm going to show you how I built this poker table for my buddy. So let's get into this build. Our first step for making the pedestal for our poker table is to rough cut all our boards to size so they fit into our jig. So we're going to use this as a stop block so we can make the same cut. But when you do that, you have to have this extra piece here. Otherwise the board will bind up, shoot at you. Bah, it hurts. Getting hit with a board. With our stop block in position, we rough cut our boards to length. As good as new. Now that we have our boards cut to size, we're going to use a track saw to cut a taper with a bevel on it. The bevel is going to give us our octagon, and the taper will make the bottom wider than the top. Makita has this fancy stop on it at 22.5. Now we're going to flip the jig, flip the track, clamp it down, and make our second cut. After making your 2 cuts, we have our bevel and our taper. I repeated the process through all 8 boards. So now we have our 8 identical pieces. When we tape them all together, it should roll up into an octagon. Since it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top, we have to cut a bevel on the bottom and the top so that it sits on the floor flat and it holds the table flat. Using a scrap to keep the board flat against the fence allows us to cut the top and bottom bevels on each board. Our first cut is right on the bottom of each board. You ever have one of those moments where you think everything is just right? This is not one of those moments. It's got this little tiny bit of a bevel. I think I did that wrong. This one's backwards. We gotta do it this way. Now it's the right way. With the top and bottom bevels cut, we're gonna line everything up, tape the seams, and roll it up into an octagon. So then this is our pedestal leg. An octagon, skinny at the top, fat at the bottom, and then we'll add an extra 4 1/4 to the bottom. So it'll be a little bit taller. We'll add a circle to the top, a 24-inch circle, and then that 24-inch circle will actually get the poker table mounted to it. That's our pedestal. So now we're gonna unfold it now that we know it works. We're gonna lay it down, we're gonna spread some glue, and we're gonna glue this thing. It's kind of amazing how much use you can get out of blue painter's tape. It's not too bad. Worked pretty good. This one. Here we go. Right there. Now I'm cutting 8 identical pieces for our bottom octagon. Now we're gonna dry fit it all again, make sure it works, and we're gonna glue her up. Now I'm going to cut the top circle. Now moving on to the poker table top, we're going to cut this sheet of plywood down so it's just a little bit more manageable. To find the center of your board, draw a line from corner to corner both directions. Once you've found the center of your board, drill a hole and attach it to your circle cutting jig. I adjust the radius on our jig and I cut out the circle. You ready? This is huge, dude. For this style poker table, we're gonna have a padded edge. In order to create that padded edge, we have to cut out 2 rings that will fit over the felt top of the poker table. Now I'm cutting the first ring on the bandsaw, and then I'm gonna cut the second ring with the router jig. Boom. That works really well too. Then we'll have this lip that goes down and around that, and then this guy will sit on top, just like that. And now we're going to attach the top ring to the bottom ring with some screws and glue. And now we're going to route the inside edge, the outside edge, and the bottom edge. Once the ring has been assembled, it's time to wrap everything. This is the only part that I don't really know 100% what's going on, so we're gonna do it though. For the top of the poker table, we decided to go with a black speed cloth. To attach the speed cloth, we use spray adhesive and staples. It's gonna be dirty. Staple gun sucks. Once I was finished stapling, I went around and cut all the excess. Once the speed cloth has been attached, we move on to the upper ring, where we attach the foam. Once the foam has been laid out, apply the spray adhesive to the top of the ring and apply to the foam. Once the top is adhered to the foam, apply more spray adhesive to the bottom of the ring. Once the spray adhesive has been applied, fold the foam over and remove the excess. So that's our bumper ring. And now the cool part, the vinyl. Wow, this is way more than we're gonna need. Holy cannoli, man. This is what you're gonna see now. Being that this was the first time that I worked with vinyl, there are things that I would do differently next time. I would cut off the excess before I started stapling and stretching.
Every time I put a staple in, it's like, oh yeah, it'll just bunch up in this spot now instead of that spot.
Once I finished cutting off all the excess material, I went around and secured it with a few more staples. Now we're gonna go to wrap the interior of the ring. To do this, we remove most of the excess and cut little flaps.
We're making a poker table.
What the heck is a poker table?
You're just in time for the reveal, Robert.
That's the table?
Watch. As I was putting the last few staples into the poker table, I had 2 surprise visitors. Once my boys left the shop, I finished assembling the table with a few screws. With those last few screws, the poker table is now complete. So if you find yourself wanting to make this style poker table, click the video on the screen where I show 3 different ways to cut your own wooden circle. Thanks for watching.